Diogo Jota. Diogo Jota met one of the most tragic and shocking deaths in World Cup player history. Diogo Jota was born on December 4, 1996 in Porto, Portugal, a dynamic forward for Liverpool FC and the Portuguese's national team. He was known for his speed, intelligence, and sharp finishing. By 2022, he had played over 100 games for Liverpool and his national team and is one of the key players for Portugal at the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. But Jota ultimately missed the 2022 World Cup due to a severe injury. On July 3, 2025, Jota and his younger brother, André Silva, set out from central Spain in a Lamborghini Huracan headed toward Santander and Liverpool. It was meant to be a quiet journey before preseason training, but it ended in disaster. According to the Spanish Civil Guard, at around 12:30 a.m., Jota's brothers were driving along the A52 highway near Cernandilla while overtaking another vehicle. Their Lamborghini Huracan reportedly suffered a tire blowout, veered off the road, flipped multiple times, and burst into flames near kilometer point 64. When emergency services arrived, the car was already engulfed in fire, its frame twisted beyond recognition. Firefighters extinguished the blaze, but it was too late. They found the remains of the two brothers inside the wreck, burned beyond recognition. Investigators later found skid marks over 30 meters long, suggesting that the driver had tried desperately to regain control in the final seconds. The news devastated fans, teammates, and the entire football community, including Portugal's captain, Cristiano Ronaldo, who paid an emotional tribute to his fallen teammate. Gaetano Scirea. Gaetano Scirea met one of the most sudden and devastating ends ever to befall a World Cup champion. Gaetano Scirea was born on May 25, 1953, in Cernosco sul Naviglio, Italy. He was a captain for Juventus and the Italian national team. Gaetano was celebrated for his elegance, intelligence, and sportsmanship because he never once received a red card in his entire career. In 1982, he lifted the FIFA World Cup, etching his name among the greatest defenders in football history. On September 3, 1989, Gaetano was in Poland on a quiet work trip as Juventus scout. He had been sent to observe Górnik Zabrze, the Polish club that Juventus was sent to face in the upcoming UEFA Cup. Witnesses recalled that around 4:30 p.m., Gaetano traveled in a small Fiat 125p accompanied by club leaders. While heading along the road near Babsk, the car suddenly entered the opposite lane and collided head-on with an oncoming truck. Unfortunately, inside the car's trunk were 4 cans of gasoline, something Polish drivers often carried at the time because of fuel shortages. The crash ruptured the cans instantly. Within seconds, the spilled fuel ignited, triggering an explosion that turned the vehicle into a fireball. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but the flames were too intense to save anyone inside. Gaetano and 2 passengers were killed instantly, their bodies burned beyond recognition, reduced to charred remains by the violent explosion that followed the collision. News of his death devastated Italy and the football world. Anatoli Kozhemyakin. Anatoli Kozhemyakin met one of the most unusual and tragic deaths in the history of World Cup players. Anatoli Kozhemyakin was born on February 14, 1953 in Moscow, USSR. He was a gifted forward who played for Dynamo Moscow and the Soviet Union national team. Anatoli was considered one of the most promising young talents of Soviet football in the early 1970s. By the age of 21, he had already represented his country in the 1974 World Cup qualifiers. Around 7 p.m. on October 13, 1974, after finishing a routine training session with Dynamo Moscow, Anatoli returned to his apartment building in central Moscow. Like every day, he stepped into the old Soviet-era elevator. After the doors closed, the elevator suddenly stalled between 2 floors. With no emergency phone and unable to call for help, according to investigators, he tried to pry the doors using his hands and the edge of his shoe. After he managed to force a small gap wide enough to squeeze through, Kozhemyakin began to climb out, but just as he lifted himself upward, the elevator's motor unexpectedly reactivated. The cabin jerked downward violently, pinning him between the moving platform and the shaft wall. The impact was instant and fatal. When emergency workers arrived, they found the young striker lifeless, halfway out of the elevator. Medical reports later confirmed that he had died instantly from massive chest and neck crush injuries, caused the elevator pressing him against the shaft wall. The news stunned the Soviet sports community, a young star taken in a freak accident. Samuel Okawaraji. Samuel Okawaraji became one of the most haunting tragedies in football history. Samuel Okawaraji was born on May 19, 1964, in Orolu, Nigeria. He was a gifted midfielder known for his intelligence, stamina, and fiery passion on the pitch. Alongside his professional football career, he was also a qualified lawyer. proving he was as brilliant off the field as he was on it. By the late 1980s, he had become a key figure for the Nigerian national team. On August 12, 1989, during a crucial World Cup qualifying match against Angola at Lagos National Stadium, there were over 100,000 fans filled the stands. He ran endlessly and was the most outstanding player across the pitch. The game was tense. Nigeria led 1-0 with just 10 minutes remaining. Then, suddenly, he staggered near the halfway line. Witnesses said his movements slowed, his knees buckled, and within seconds, he collapsed face first onto the turf. Referee Aaron Schmidhuber immediately stopped the game as players from both teams signaled frantically for medical help. Paramedics sprinted onto the field, performing CPR while fans watched in stunned silence. Some teammates knelt and prayed, others cried out his name. Despite the quick response, Samuel showed no signs of recovery. He was pronounced dead before reaching the hospital. The autopsy later revealed hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, combined with dangerously high blood pressure. His heart, the very thing that made him a fighter on the field, had given out in the middle of battle. Alberto Galateo. Alberto Luis Galateo suffered one of the most shocking fates ever faced by a World Cup player. Alberto Galateo was born on May 4, 1912 in Santa Fe, Argentina. He was a talented forward, known for his pace and powerful shooting. Galateo represented Argentina in the 1934 FIFA World Cup in Italy and played for top clubs such as Club Atletico Huracan and Colón. In his prime, Galateo was admired for his fearless style of play and natural leadership. On a February evening in 1961, Galateo became embroiled in a violent family argument at his house in Santa Fe. According to police reports, the former footballer had been in a heated confrontation with his wife over jealousy. He was prepared to kill his wife. In an attempt to protect her, their son David grabbed a pistol from a nearby drawer. As the confrontation reached its peak, he fired at his father. The shot struck Alberto in the chest, who collapsed immediately, lifeless on the floor. When authorities arrived, they found Alberto dead at the scene, the gun still clutched in his son's trembling hands. The shocking incident stunned Argentina. Years later, Galeteo's grandson Damian Galateo would turn the haunting family history into a film titled Terror Familiar, forever preserving the story of a legend whose life ended in heartbreaking violence. José Luis Cuciuffu. José Luis Cuciuffu met one of the most tragic and untimely deaths in the history of World Cup champions. He was born on September 1, 1959, in Cordoba, Argentina. Cuciuffu was known for his leadership and physical strength at the back. He played for clubs such as Vélez Sarsfield, Boca Juniors, and Nacional, earning a reputation as a stalwart in defense. He was a key part of the Argentine national team that won the 1986 FIFA World Cup, contributing to Argentina's legendary triumph under Diego Maradona. In June of 2004, José Luis Cuciuffu went on a hunting trip in the remote areas of Buenos Aires province near San Blas Bay in southern Argentina. Cuciuffu and his companions were trekking through the uneven brush-filled terrain in search of game. A stray shot from a fellow hunter's firearm suddenly struck him in the abdomen. According to witnesses, the impact was immediate. He collapsed to the ground, clutching his stomach in agony. His companions quickly called emergency services while trying to control the bleeding, applying makeshift pressure with jackets and clothing. An ambulance arrived after tense minutes, rushing him to the nearby hospital. Despite the doctor's urgent efforts, Cuciuffu's injuries were too severe, and he tragically died in the hospital later that day. The autopsy later confirmed that the fatal injury was a gunshot wound to the abdomen, causing massive internal bleeding that led to his untimely death. The news shocked the Argentine football community. Cuciuffu became the first member of Argentina's 1986 World Cup winning squad to pass away. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and tell me which story you want next.